Well, welcome to the BNI Effect, the home of amazing conversations with Brisbane BNI members, sharing tips on how you can get the most out of your BNI membership. I'm Tony Meredith, and ordinarily I'm a business coach, but today I'm your host and fellow BNI member, bringing you yet another amazing conversation. This episode is number 44, and today's guest is Damien Grills. Welcome, Damien.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me, mate.
Hey, thank you for being here. Let's kick it off by you introducing who you are, your business, and the services that you provide.
Yeah, no worries. My name is Damien. I am born and raised here in Brisbane, and I'm a buyer's agent. So as a buyer's agent, specialise in purchasing residential property for clients. A bit of a nutshell, services that we sort of about a 30 ring cave the city from the inner city, and we just focus on residential property. So we just help our clients basically through the whole entire process from searching all the way through to settlement. So
Okay, and so now the name of the business, Damien?
your property hound.
Your property hound. And so from a buyer's agent point of view, buyer's agents are quite popular in the States. They're sort of growing in popularity here, but I think the percentage in transactions, and you would know probably better than me, is probably, I don't know, less than maybe 10% of transactions. So why would someone looking to buy a property use a buyer's agent?
Look, I'd say number one reason that they come to us is our clients are typically time poor, whether that's from in their own businesses or their own jobs that they work a lot of hours and they just don't have the ability to find the time, and a process that should take what they thought was a small amount of time all of a sudden pushes out and they're 6 months down the line and they still haven't got anywhere, or they've just got families and on the weekend the kids are at sport and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably the number one reason. Other factors are they get a bit frustrated if they've been in the market for a while and they've struggled and they can't find something. Pricing property at the moment is tough because it's constantly changing, so that's challenging. And then a lot of them just also don't know the property space isn't their world, and they don't sort of understand it as well, and they just need that guidance and support because at the end of the day they are spending a large quantity of money, so they just need a bit of help there. So we get a range of clients from just built for first home buyers, all the way to people that have got multiple investment properties and everyone in between.
I would imagine that you're constantly getting asked what's happening to the property market.
Yeah, it's a pretty common question, and it's been a bit of a hard one to sort of answer because it hasn't, for a long time there it was very stable and it was sort of flatlined, and you can tell that these houses in this area, if it's a 4-bed 2-bathroom, is X price, and but lately it's just it's a constant evolving world, and even just the way that properties are sold and how they're advertised and price cuts and all kinds of stuff is constantly on the move. So yeah, it's definitely hard to give an answer. And then the next question is what's going to happen in the future, and what are Rex going to do on all those questions that come along with it. So yeah, but it's our job to keep up as best we can.
So you're saying you don't have a crystal ball?
Not that I've found, unless there's one under my bed that I haven't noticed yet. But as yet, I haven't found one. But like, I would love one. That would be really great.
Very
Or a
good.
time machine. I just go back and buy my properties a couple of years ago. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
So how long have you been a buyer's agent for, Damien?
In 3 years, about
3
three
years.
years, maybe just touch over. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. All right. And so how long have you been in BNI for?
About the same time frame. So I joined not long after getting into the industry. As buyers agents, a lot of our business comes from referral partners. It has a lot of the growth comes, later on down the track. A lot of that turns into repeat clients and word of mouth. But at the beginning, it's kind of critical to the business to grow through referral based stuff. So coming in, I was introduced to BNI through work colleagues, and then as meeting other people, realizing how big the network is, because then I was bumping into a lot of people by doing that, just organizing coffee catch-ups, and they're in BNI, and so next thing you know, here we are.
And so what was it about the first meeting you went to that convinced you that this is where I want to be?
I think I just appreciate it. I'd gone to a few other either networking events or through networking organizations, and I think I just appreciated that BNI has a good balance of that. There is structure to it, which I think is important, that you are there to support each other and to grow your businesses, first and foremost. But then there was also, and any chapter is probably a little bit different of how they run, but there's also some ability to sort of operate the way you want, and to have a bit of fun with it too. So I think it's a good balance for me of the accountability side of making sure you turn up every week, and do things you need to do to support each other, because some of the other events that I went to were quite relaxed and it sort of turn it when you want. And I just found that at the end of the day, from a business point of view, it didn't really achieve the sort of outcome. So I think BNI fits well into that sort of that balance.
Excellent. And how has being part of a BNI chapter influenced your approach to networking?
I think it's made me sort of it's understood that it's important to. I mean, for me specifically, it's very important. Networking is critical. A lot of, like I was saying, the business comes from there. But I've also learned over the time too that it's not only about business coming in, but what I've built through BNI is a really good basis of a support system. For as a buyer's agent, in every single transaction that I do, I need a few other key industries to support me and my clients. So, for example, general insurance, a building and pest inspector, and a solicitor. I use those three industries and people every single transaction. So, what I've been able to achieve, which has been really great for me, is finding people that are have the same sort of moral values and morals that I do, but also deliver great service. And that's just really added on to what we provide as a service. So,
Well, it's about creating an A team by the sound of things. So in
yeah.
your role, you play a role, but then for someone who is looking at purchasing a house, like you said, there's a whole range of other services and professionals that are required. And so creating your A team would position you
Mm.
to almost be that one-stop shop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, there's sometimes you can go onto Google and see reviews and read some stuff online, but I think it's critical to also meet with those people, especially if it's going to be like again every single transaction that I'm doing. If I'm constantly using these people, I want to know that they're also good people, that they align with, like I said, the various morals that we provide. So going out there and actually sitting down and having coffee and chatting to them and learning a bit about who they are, I think is really important.
How do you measure your success from BNI?
I think there's a few ways. I think now that I think that it changes. If you were a new member, you might look at it a bit different. But as someone that's been in it for a number of years now, the two sort of main factors of just, am I supporting the chapter? I think that's sort of the first and foremost, is that mentality of givers gain. Am I doing my best to turn up to the meetings, do my one-to-ones, giving the business to other people when I have the ability to do that? And then in turn two, it's obviously what is sort of getting returned back to you as far as a business point of view. But I'm sort of fortunate in what we do, that because we're a higher sort of like fee for service on a monetary side of things, that I don't necessarily need a weekly referral to coming in. I mean, that would be great. So for me personally, I sort of focus on just doing what I can to support the chapter and the members in there first and foremost.
You touched on Givers Gain. There'll be a number of people
Mm.
who are listening to this, Damien, who aren't familiar with BNI or Givers Gain. What does that mean?
So some easy way to put it is that the idea is that if you give in to support your sort of chapter and your community, that in turn that will come back to you and they will support you in return. So yeah,
And it's a universal law. It's a law of reciprocity. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
and so from a BNI point of view, it's phrased as a giver's gain. How has
Yes.
your business evolved since joining BNI?
Like I was mentioning, I think on the biggest thing for me on the back is that I really have grown like a great system and sort of process that's been built in. So now that the those professionals that I mentioned before, I typically sometimes I need like for example, building and pest perspective. What if my main building pest isn't available? I have other members that I used to, but I essentially use the same people for every single transaction, and we have created like a system process that works together. So they know the way that I operate. I know the way that they operate. So it comes in. So the insurance broker knows that he'll get an email from me laid out the same way, doing the introduction. Everything is like built a great system, and it's just leveled up the service in general. So I think it's been really great for that for me.
What advice would you give to new BNI members to make the most out of their membership?
I think depending on where you are, for example, if you are just thinking about joining a BNI, you don't really know too much about it, you've heard a bit about it, I suggest that you go out and visit a lot of chapters. I think it's important that you do that because every chapter is a little bit different, every personality is a little bit different. So for me, I'm a sort of an extrovert. I like a bit of energy in the room. I think that it's important to, like I was saying earlier, have that structure, but also enjoy it and have a bit of fun, because most chapters are starting at 6:30 in the morning or, 7:15 in the morning, and not everyone's a morning person. So for me, getting there, and when I joined the chat that I'm at currently, I turn up in the mornings and people are there early and they're chatting. And then when our meeting is finished, people stay behind and another 20 minutes and they're having a chat. So and then the meeting was always fun during that time. So that was what really helped. And then it was just a good group of people. I think that if you're in a group and you're just starting out, don't focus as much on what is being given to you. Like we were talking about before, the giver's gain. I think give it time. It could be 6 to 12 months before you really start seeing business come your way, because you need to build those relationships. When you go into a room and week number one, you don't really know each other at that point. So, but just focus on turning up to the meeting, doing your one-to-ones, growing those relationships, building those relationships is critical. And then in turn, that business will come later down the line.
Wonderful advice. Thanks, Damien. What's next for
All
your
right.
business? Have you got any exciting projects or expansions on the horizon?
At the moment, I'm trying to, like, I would love to help more first home buyers, because those are the people that I enjoy sort of helping them out. So they need sort of the most support. But sometimes it's the most challenging to sort of get them on, especially if they're, it's tough these days with the prices to save a good deposit and all those kind of stuff. So I'm trying to work in creating some new opportunities of where we can help, even if it's not, a complete sort of service base to them, and just support them more. So that's sort of like, I'm excited to hopefully figure that out and be able to provide a good service for them.
How do you see your relationship with BNI evolving as your business grows?
Well, I've just stepped into the president's seat in our chapter. So yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. So learning more and seeing the back end. So I see like the next year, we're really trying to sort of to grow and to really dial in our sort of instruction process within BNI. And I think in this new role, be able to sort of port more and just help everybody out. So yeah, I hopefully this will be a good growth year for us, and just continue doing what we're doing, because yeah, it's been good so far.
Now, for the non-BNI people who are listening, so Damien's just mentioned that he's about to be the president. So, Damien, just quickly talk through the whole leadership team piece and what that means for every chapter.
Yeah, so every chapter is essentially supported by a leadership team. So we're broken up into a president, a vice president, a treasurer, a visitor host, and we all have roles that essentially keep the ship afloat. And each key area has a sort of a role that they do to keep us moving forward. So, for example, the president's role is sort of run the meeting sort of week in and week out. And then everybody else, visitor host will welcome the visitors when they come in, and teach them about what BNI is about and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a critical part of our each chapter is the members supporting each other and growing it together and keeping it going.
Congratulations, and I'm excited to see your chapter grow under your presidency. So well done.
Thank you,
If
mate.
if you could share one piece of wisdom with our listeners, whether they be BNI members or not, what would that be, Damien?
If we're talking about, I think give it a go. There's no harm in just going out and visiting a chapter and seeing what it's about. I think a lot of people have sort of roadblocks in their head of what they may believe something is, or that it might not be right for them. But the worst thing that happens is you go along, you meet some good people. You maybe, if they've got coffee or breakfast on, you have a good coffee and breakfast, and you're only better for it. So that's what I find a lot of the times when we're talking to potentially people considering doing things like this, or they may not sure that networking is them or how it will help their business. But it's to go along and give it a try, and you might find that it is for you, and it might really help you, because there's a lot of business out there that have grown off the back of BNI and networking in general.
How can listeners learn more about your business or get in touch with you?
They can. I've got my details will be on the BNI website through our chapter. And yeah, if you go to yourpropertyhound.com.au, you'll also find a bit of information about us and our business, and my contact details will be there. So anyone that wants to get in contact, feel free to call, text, email me anytime.
Excellent. Thanks, Damien. Well, that wraps up another episode of the BNI Effect. I hope that you enjoyed today's discussion, and I want to extend a massive heartfelt thank you to our guest, Damien Grills, for sharing his insights with us. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the BNI Effect on your favourite podcast platform and leave us a review. Thanks for listening.